Donald Trump just called one of his closest advisors a sleazebag. It's this guy. That's Leonard Leo. Leonard Leo, one of the most influential people in picking judges for the court and picking judges for Donald Trump. So why is Donald Trump suddenly calling Leonard Leo a sleazebag? Let's look at who Leonard Leo is, what role he played, and what this falling out between Trump and Leo means for you and for the country. So Leonard Leo's story really begins at Cornell, where he is a law student, and it begins with the start of the Federalist Society. In 1982, Leo joins a few years later. This is a legal society designed to ultimately put conservatives on the bench. Leo is concerned that there are too many liberal professors teaching law and too many liberal judges being appointed to the bench. So he joins this group. And when he graduates from law school, he becomes further involved in this group. He goes on to lead the Federalist Society and help raise money for this Federalist Society and really transforms it into this powerhouse organization where if you're a conservative and you want to be on the bench, you join the Federalist Society. I went to law school. I graduated around the same time Leo was going to law school. It was a very new phenomenon. I'm not even sure that I knew it was in existence at the time. But it became this behemoth. Now, 6 out of the 9 Supreme Court justices went through that Federalist Society pipeline. I think about 86% of the Trump-appointed justices in his first term also went through this pipeline. But the story gets significant. The story of Leo and Trump gets significant when Trump is running for president in 2016. He makes a pledge to appoint justices to the Supreme Court that are all vetted by the Federalist Society. So here's Donald Trump in an interview with Breitbart Radio and what he had to say at the time.
And we've put out a list all vetted by Federalist Society, highly recommended by them. And we have a list of 20 judges, and we're putting them out, and the list has been unbelievably well received because I wanted to make sure they understood that we're putting out a very important list. And not that I'd pick some liberal judge after they chose me. So I actually put out a list from which I will only pick. In other words, I will only pick one of these people given to us by the Federalist Society and also Heritage, who run by a great guy, Jim. But we have a list of great judges, and if for no other reason, that should be a reason.
So he's committed to only picking these justices vetted by the Federalist Society and Heritage, another right-wing think tank. Heritage is more involved in a whole lot of other issues. Federalist Society really focused on the judiciary. So Trump makes good on that pledge, and he nominates and appoints 3 justices to the court, Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Gorsuch, all recommended by Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society. So the falling out takes place 4 years later, 4 years after his election, that is, and after he's appointed all these justices to the Supreme Court, a court that has overturned Roe v. Wade. This is a signal achievement of Leonard Leo and Donald Trump. So the falling out begins at the end of the first Trump administration, when Donald Trump is contesting the election that he lost, and the Supreme Court doesn't intervene to somehow take the election away from the winner, Joe Biden, give it to the loser, Donald Trump. So this infuriates Trump because in Trump's worldview, the justices, like everyone else, are simply there to do his bidding. So flash forward, 4 years later, he's once again elected, and the question is the Federalist Society, is Leonard Leo going to play this same role? Now, Leo's role in all of this goes beyond just helping to put these right-wingers on the bench. It also goes to making sure that the bench, those judges on the bench, cater to Leo's wealthy corporate client interests. That is, all the people who fund the Federalist Society. So Leo, while these new justices are on the court and some of the old Federalist Society justices like Scalia and Thomas, part of his job is to make sure that they cater to the business interests in their opinions, because at the end of the day, it's really all about the money. And so Leo helps facilitate relationships between these justices, particularly on the Supreme Court, but on other courts as well, and these wealthy corporate interests. And so Leo is the one who helps arrange the private trips for Clarence Thomas with Harlan Crow, that Texas billionaire, and other trips, exotic vacations paid for by these corporate dark money interests, fishing trips in Alaska. I mean, all these boondoggle vacations for justices that go unreported because there's no enforceable code of ethics for the Supreme Court. All the stuff that has come out in recent years through a lot of ProPublica reporting, Leonard Leo is at the center of it, essentially making sure these justices are happy on the bench, making sure these justices are meeting these corporate clients that will give money to Leonard Leo. It's this whole nefarious cycle. So flash forward into Trump administration 2.0, and the question is this going to continue? Is Trump going to continue to go through Leonard Leo, through the Federalist Society, to put people on the bench? And here you have a decision of a 3-court judge panel, the tariff decision, in which this tariff court says that Donald Trump has violated the law by using this emergency power to impose tariffs. Now, one of those judges was a Trump appointee. 2 of them, I think, were appointed by Republican presidents. 1 was appointed by Trump, and Trump is apoplectic. There goes another judge, another Trump appointee, another Federalist Society judge not doing Donald Trump's bidding. Trump is also deeply disappointed, apparently, in Amy Coney Barrett because she's not right-wing all the time. So this is what causes Trump to erupt, this tariff decision, on top of the disappointment of Amy Coney Barrett, on top of the even broader disappointed that the justices that he appointed didn't throw the election to him when he lost his reelection. So this is why they're having a falling out. Now, the other important point between the falling out between Donald Trump and Leonard Leo is just whose interests Leonard Leo really represents. So Leonard Leo represents the interests of these very wealthy corporate donors. So it's all about the money for Leonard Leo. For Donald Trump, it's all about Donald Trump. And here's the collision. Leonard Leo is for these other billionaires. He's not there for the one billionaire that Donald Trump cares about, and that's Donald Trump. So that's why we have this collision of interests. And in the context of this, as Trump starts to nominate new judges, we're going to have to vet them very carefully. Are these people simply going to do Trump's bidding, or are they going to pay attention to something called the Constitution and the rule of law? So Trump has nominated his first slate. We had our first confirmation hearings. Now, one of the nominees, Whitney Hermendorfer, nominated for the Court of Appeals judgeship, came before our committee. I was particularly interested, frankly, in her take on the Federalist Society. She has been a Federalist Society member for a long time. And I also want to get her take on Leonard Leo. Where was she in this fight between Donald Trump and Leonard Leo? How would she view her job, whether it would be to obey the Constitution and the law or just obeisance to Donald Trump? Here were some of her answers. I want to ask you about this. You're a member of the Federalist Society, correct?
That's correct.
And for how long? For how many years?
I believe I joined in law school, Senator.
So over a decade ago then?
About a decade.
And were you recommended for a judgeship by the Federalist Society?
I have no knowledge of why I was recommended or whether the Federalist Society had any role.
The Federalist Society does, though, recommend judges to the administration, do they not, or did they not?
I had no involvement in that. I'm not sure. I've seen reporting to suggest they had some involvement, but I have no personal knowledge of that, Senator.
Do you think, having been a member of the Federalist Society for over a decade, that they're under the thumb of a real sleazebag named Leonard Leo? Is that your view?
In my perspective, the Federalist Society has been a wonderful place to get together with the many, many lawyers who are members and learn about the law and discuss issues. Aside from my own experience, as a judicial nominee, I don't think it's appropriate for me to comment on any public policy debate about the Federalist Society or the particular quotation you're referencing.
Do you know Leonard Leo?
I've met him a few times at Federalist Society events, but I wouldn't say that I know him well or that he knows me.
Do you concur with the president's assessment that he's a sleazebag?
Again, Senator, that type of interpersonal or political dispute I don't think is appropriate for me to comment on.
But I also wanted to pin her down on a continuing concern many of us have, and that is whether the courts will enforce their judgments against the administration, whether court orders will be enforceable, or whether they will simply let the president ignore what the courts rule. Here were her evasive answers to my questions and follow-up by one of the Republican senators, John Kennedy, who shares the same concern. I wanted to just follow up on one of your answers to Senator Durbin. He asked about the necessity of following court orders, and you were very specific in your answer and said that if the Supreme Court rules that then you have to follow the order as it pertains to the parties to the case. I want to ask you about a lower court ruling, though. You would agree, would you not, that if a district court rules, pending appeal or pending any other stay or action by a higher court, that the parties covered by that order, including the administration, need to abide by that order?
As I mentioned to Ranking Member Durbin, the normal course, if you disagree with a court order, is to seek appellate review in the way that you mentioned. Yes. I do note that my understanding is yesterday there was some testimony about, particular cases and nuances of that debate that I think are active, and obviously the interaction of Article 3 and Article 2 is an actively litigated matter, but absolutely in the normal course, the proper way to vindicate your rights is through the appellate process.
So thank you. All right. Thank you, Senator. No, really, John?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh! Let's look at this. All order is dissolving. Okay, go ahead. But that's it. I'm serious. Senator Grassley's going to come in here and hit me with this gavel.
I want to be sure I understand, Professor. District court rules in a case. You got plaintiff or defendant and defendant. You're representing the plaintiff. Your plaintiff is very unhappy. Are there any circumstances under which you would advise the plaintiff to ignore the federal court order?
So, of course, as a judicial nominee, I would be trying to issue proper orders.
I don't want to split hairs here.
No, the normal process is to
I know what the
seek
normal
appellate
process
review.
is. Can you think of any circumstances where you would tell the plaintiff, nope, you don't pay attention to this federal judge?
So the problem with answering it that categorically is that there are potentially some very extraordinary situations you could imagine
Like
that
what?
could come before me as a
Like
judge.
what?
So this is a subject of
I'd be
tremendous
careful
scholarship.
there. I'd be real careful.
All right, Senator. All right.
Now, Hermendorfer really is part of the old school nominees. Kind of ironic that at the time of this falling out between Trump and Leo, that the first Court of Appeals judge would be more in the Leo Federalist Society mold. But there is a very different Court of Appeals nominee that may be a much stronger indication of the future trend of Donald Trump nominees, and that is Emil Bove. Emil Bove was one of Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyers. He's been nominated now for the Court of Appeals. He is a right-wing ideologue who is 100% in the tank for Donald Trump. We can have no confidence whatsoever in his willingness to follow the law rather than following the leader. We're likely to see a lot more nominees that look like Emil Bove. And as for Leonard Leo, well, he's gone on in part to do other things. He has now started some group called the Teneo Society, which is designed to try to attack progressives in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry, in the media, in the business world. So he's broadening his horizons in the cultural warfare that he began leading the Federalist Society. And as for the relationship between Donald Trump and Leonard Leo, well, the falling out looks a little bit like this.
Oh, man, I haven't seen you in 6 fucking years.
How you doing, Billy?
Jesus Christ almighty. You was terrific. How you feel?
Watch this suit. Watch this suit.
Watch this suit, you little frick. Hey, I know you all my life.
All right, good.
You're getting too big on me
Just
now.
don't go busting my balls, Billy, okay?
Hey, Tommy, if I was going to break your balls, I'd tell you to go home and get your shine box. Oh, this kid was great. They used to call him Spit Shine Tommy. I swear to God. Oh, he'd make your shoes look like fucking mirrors. Excuse my language. He was terrific. He was the best. And he made a lot of money, too. Salute, Tommy.
No more shines, Billy.
What?
I said no more shines. Maybe you didn't hear about it. You've been away a long time. They didn't go up there and tell you. I don't shine shoes anymore.
Relax, will you, for crying out? What's got into you? I'm breaking your balls a little bit, that's all. I'm only kidding with you.
Sometimes you don't sound like you're kidding. You know, there's a lot of people around.
I mean, I'm only kidding with you. We're having a party. I mean, I just came home. I haven't seen you in a long time, and I'm breaking your balls, and you're right away you're getting fucking fresh. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you.
I'm sorry, too. It's okay, no problem.
Okay, salute. Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Motherfucking mutt! You fucking piece of shit!
Yeah.
You might remember that in his late September social media post addressed to Attorney General Pam Bondi, President Trump demanded that justice be served against the following people he called, quote, guilty as hell: New York Attorney General Letitia James, California Senator Adam Schiff, and former FBI Director James Comey. Well, today, almost exactly 2 months later, Trump's Justice Department may have sunk the case that they concocted against Comey. Now, this case faced challenges from day one. Mainly, they could not find a prosecutor willing to bring charges. The previous U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, appointed by Trump, wouldn't do it. His office even wrote up a memo saying why they couldn't do it. They didn't find enough evidence to warrant charges. So he got the boot, and then a 36-year-old former insurance lawyer turned Trump defense attorney